Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I wanted to come online this morning and have a little dialogue about purpose, sense of purpose, living life from a sense of purpose, a feeling of waking up each day excited to pull a mission forward. Good morning, Vanessa. And, I'm curious, just for those of you watching, to take a moment and just tune in with yourself and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, right now in my life and the way that I'm living, how connected do I feel to my sense of purpose? Good morning, Ash. So I want to share with you a little bit my story, because not that long ago I was so disconnected from my sense of purpose, and the ways in which my life has changed over these last several years have been so significant in my sense of being able to reconnect with fire, with desire, with hope. It's been so powerful that I wanted to share it with you. So, as many of you know, I was really blessed in this lifetime, the family that I chose. I have an incredible set of folks and a really amazing sister. And, both of my parents really instilled in me a desire to leave this world better than I found it, to come in and offer contribution, to be able to make my life something that heals the planet, that supports humanity, that creates shifts. And I think this day and age, we're in really intense times, and I think we need more folks excited to change the world. So I grew up with my dad, who still is a very, very passionate environmentalist, and spent a lot of my time as a kiddo walking in the woods with my dad. And not only did he teach me, different tree names and bird names and things like that, more importantly, he really showed me the interconnection between humans and the planet, and the relevance and the importance and the spirit that's alive in the landscape, and invited me from a very young age to live in more harmony with the world, with the earth. And my mom is also a super passionate, inspiring force who dedicated her career and her life to uplifting and empowering women. My childhood was full of mom always creating these new lesson plans and new creative ways, curriculums and ideas, fun ways for people, and especially women, to learn more about their own bodies, to ignite a sense of self-love, and to learn conscious communication skills for more easeful communication and partnership and in choices we make. And so by the time I finished high school, I was fired up. I had this life of being surrounded. My sister's also this incredible force, and it was like to be surrounded by people that wanted to change the world, and that every day reached into community, reached into the world around us to try to foster and to be the change that they want to see in the world. I finished high school and I was fired up. 18 years old, I was like, yeah, I can change the world. I know I can do something. I know that I have a purpose. And so I actually took a year off before starting college. I had fallen in love in high school with a guy that grew up in Mexico. He was from the States, but he grew up in Mexico, and he was bicultural and bilingual. And I was so inspired by his perspective on the world, and I wanted that for myself. So 18 years old, I took off for Latin America for what I thought would be a 3-month volunteering program, and instead turned into a year-long adventure and exploration and journey into self-love and discovery about the bigger world than what I had seen in my pretty rural upbringing. And so I spent a year traveling through Latin America, learning another language, making connections, and seeing with my own eyes how much one country affects another, and how much we are so interconnected, and how important it is as a citizen of one of the most powerful countries in the world to have awareness about what's going on in the world and the impact that our choices have on others. I came home from Latin America and threw myself into undergraduate studies. After undergraduate, I threw myself into the workforce. I felt really drawn both to become a writer, to share my voice, and also to be a teacher. So I had a double major, and when I came out of college, I thought, well, who makes money as a writer? So I threw myself into the workforce. I became a school teacher in North Philadelphia. I worked in a really challenging neighborhood where 97% of my students qualified for a free lunch program, and almost all of my students had a direct family member in jail. And it was heartbreaking and intense and empowering. Those children taught me so much, but the truth is, after 2 years, I was a skeleton. I was so burnt out and frankly hopeless, feeling so Like there were so many challenges trying to work within the school system and all the bureaucracy and the poverty, and it was a lot, so I quit and I went into peace work. I worked for the American Friends Service Committee, and I was part of their Latin America department, and I was back and forth between Philly and mostly Mexico, and working with indigenous communities, and partnering with an organization in Mexico City where we worked with youth, both from Latin America and the United States, to try to heal, cultivate relationships and awareness on so many different levels. And again, that was meaningful work, but it was so taxing. It was so taxing. And, the truth is that by 27 years old, I had already burnt out on 2 careers. I was 27 and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so I did what I think a lot of us do, which is I went to graduate school, right? Throw myself at a place where maybe I could reconnect with that spark that had been alive in me. And I was so blessed to have an extraordinary professor and undergraduate, Kenny Cook. Love you. Thank you so much for your work. And check out his books, K.L. Cook. He's an amazing author. And Kenny believed in me, and he believed in my capacity to be a writer. And I visited him when I was kind of trying to figure out what the next step was. And he encouraged me, come to graduate school. I'm going to help you write a book. And so I did. And I loved grad school. I threw myself into graduate school. I left Philadelphia. I moved to the Hudson Valley, knowing very few people with no money, and went at it. I knew enough from my experiences, as a school teacher and in the nonprofit world, that I'm much more entrepreneurial minded, and I wanted an opportunity to create my own life, to be the boss of my own hours, and to take whatever my vision was and bring it forward. So I went to graduate school, and here's the thing. By the time that I was very unexpectedly introduced to what it is that I do now, what it is that has reconnected me with my purpose and my sense of connecting to the bigger vision of what I want to do with my life. When I was introduced to Young Living, I was $60,000 in debt. That was purely trainings. That was my my student loan debt, together with my yoga teacher training debts and all the other certifications that I had thrown onto my credit card, believing that I needed certifications in order for my work to be legitimate in the world. And, but here's the crazy thing that happened, right? So when I met Tama Jackson, who introduced me to Young Living, who's now my sweetheart of almost 7 years, what I wasn't aware of was that I was burning out again, and that I had become hopeless. When I was 18 and the world felt like my oyster, I had these huge dreams. And I got stuck in survival mode. And did not anticipate this emotion, but it's here because I know I'm not alone. I look around at so many people that I love and admire, and I see this trend of burnout, and I recognize it because it was me. Where I got to this place where I was so focused on what started as my dream, but then it came down to survival mode, as somebody who was now responsible for creating all of my own money for survival, right? I felt like if I wasn't working every single moment, I wasn't making enough money to support myself, to pay off my debts, and be able to ever get ahead. I went to graduate school to become a writer, and not even 3 months after graduate school, when those student loan bills started coming in, I put my novel in a box in my office. And I went to work as an editor because I needed a paycheck, and I had more belief in my capacity to show up for somebody else than to show up to myself and my own dreams. And 7 years passed in that way, this monotonous, wake up in the morning with this gripping feeling in my throat and in my gut, and throw myself into work. And work all day to come home exhausted and depleted. The first thing that went were my friendships. Was time with my family, because I felt like I just had to work and work and work and work, and I wanted to contribute to the world, and the only model I'd ever been shown is to work and work and work and work and go and go and go and go. And the truth was, I was 32 years old and completely depressed, completely defeated, and hopeless. But the scary part is that I wasn't even aware of that. I was so trapped in the get up and go, get up and go, get up and go that I didn't have time to pause and ask myself, like, what's going on with my life? But thank goodness for the greatest support of the universe. This amazing guy walks into my life toting these essential oils and puts a couple drops of oils on me. And I'll tell you the truth, at the beginning, it was just that, like, wow, a couple drops of these high frequency oils and I feel different. And so I leaned into the oils as a survival mode. It was like I found this way to support my emotional body, and I thought, oh wow, I can survive at this rat race as long as I have these tools of support. And then I stayed there for another 3 years, stuck in my patterns of doing and doing and doing and doing, stuck in my hopelessness, and pouring essential oils on, praying for change. And be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for. What was so unexpected to me is, I ended up attending a Young Living's convention early on, not because I wanted to go, but because my sweetheart was going, and the convention is in Utah, which is right near where my best friends from college live. And any excuse to go see my best friends and any excuse to travel, I jump on. And so I ended up going to convention, and I got to meet Gary Young, who's the founder of Young Living, who, if you don't already know Gary's story, it's worth reading about. He is an extraordinary man. His wife, Mary Young, authored a picture book that I highly recommend called The World Leader in Essential Oils, Gary Young. And it's available at youngliving.com, but also on Amazon. And it's a picture book so you can see with your own eyes the story of somebody who went from a broken body and a hopeless diagnosis to cultivating and creating change from within by partnering with the planet and by not giving up on creating solutions outside of what already exists. And Gary started this store, this little mom and pop shop when Young Living got started. He had like 5 customers. They had handwritten labels that they put on the bottles with Scotch tape. Their first couple customers were friends of theirs in Texas, and like one of their first big problems they had to solve was they would glue these little handwritten labels onto these little bottles of essential oil. And the heat was so intense in Texas that their customers would call and say, the labels fall off. We take them out of the boxes, so they're Scotch taping them, right? This is how this company started. But it started with a dream to change the world. Gary was never interested in sales. Gary wanted to change himself and to change the world by partnering better with the planet, by growing organic and sustainable farms on every continent around the globe, to bring that back. He wanted to create opportunities for people to touch their own sense of purpose, to reawaken the truth that this body knows how to heal, that we are capable of creating and transforming in any ways that we choose. So unbeknownst to me, I get dragged to this convention thinking, whatever, I'll go see my friends in college, my friends from college. And lo and behold, I get to hear about this dream. This was back in 2013 or 2014. And already Young Living had done so much. If you don't already know about Young Living's, the Young Living Foundation, the level of philanthropy, the hundreds of thousands, the millions of dollars annually that go into on-the-ground grassroots projects, partnerships that Young Living has formed with grassroots organizations in most of the countries where we have farms. It's extraordinary. So I'm sitting there in this auditorium and I'm hearing about this isn't just this online health food store that has incredible chemical-free products and stuff that's going to really support your body systems. This is a grassroots movement. This is people rising up together saying, you know what, hope isn't lost. When we work together, we can do anything. And will you join us on this mission of wellness, purpose, and abundance? And so over the last, 5+ years since that exposure, I had a lot of layers to break through. It took me years to begin to change my habitual patterns of proving my worth through how much I could work, of staying busy all the time so I wouldn't have to feel my fears and my hopelessness, of reconnecting my heart to my dream. So I want to share in these last few moments of this video actually an excerpt from the book that I'm writing, because here's one of the things one of the many ways that Young Living has blessed my life. After graduate school, 9 years passed where I didn't write another word of my own. I feel so blessed to have served the number of clients that I have and to have participated in other people's book projects. But I stopped creating my own work. I didn't have the life force for it. I was tapped dry. And Young Living has reconnected me with my heart space and my creative center, but also through doing the outreach and education for Young Living as my job. I'm so blessed that now, many years in, I'm earning a residual income where I can afford to be an artist again. And so I've been writing this book for you, and it's not yet done, but I want to share with you this excerpt about Young Living's mission, because I believe my experience in my own body is that when we are connected to our own purpose, that is the fire that gets us up in the morning. Desire. When I worked for somebody else, when it was only kind of related to my dream, I resented my work. I dragged myself to work. It felt like I was constantly working instead of living. And when I live from a sense of purpose, that line between what's life and what's work blurs. I show up to contribute. I show up to love. And that is my work in the world now. But here's the thing. I was so disconnected from my purpose that I didn't know what it was anymore. I'd forgotten. That part of me had gone numb. I'd shut it down as a protective strategy to survive. And what, again, was so unexpected was that it turns out that Young Living's mission statement actually became a compass for me to come home to my own mission, to my own purpose. And in this business, it's a partnership between myself and this extraordinary movement, this extraordinary company. And so I get to champion in their mission, but while carrying my own. So I want to share with you their mission and invite you to just allow it to land in your body and notice what it awakens in you. And maybe write down on your piece of paper right now, like, what is my purpose? What is my mission statement? If I could start again, what would that be? So Young Living's mission statement is, we honor stewardship to champion nature's living energy, essential oils, by fostering a community of healing and discovery, while inspiring individuals to wellness, purpose, and abundance. So let's break that down. We honor our stewardship. To honor is to show great respect towards, and to steward means to care for. So just feel that, the posture Young Living invites with those words. Honor, shoulders back. Stewardship, heart-led. Let's feel that. To honor and to lead with the heart. To champion nature's living energy. To champion, that's a powerful infinitive. Listen to that verb. Can you feel it in your body? What or who have you championed in your life? What does it mean and look like to really root for something? Nature's living energy, essential oils. We get a definition of essential oils here. Nature's living energy. In yoga, we call living energy prana, life force. Prana is the energy, the life force that moves this flesh and bones through a lifetime. Prana resides in all living things, plants, animals, and us too. So to champion nature's living energy, to me, means not just championing essential oils, but championing life and life force, stewardship and care for the earth, as well as deep gratitude and respect for this body and our fellow humans and animals. How do we champion living energy? By fostering a community of healing and discovery. Fostering, another great verb. What images, actions, feelings does to foster conjure in you? What have you fostered in life? What do you want to foster? To foster community is the heart of it. So many of us find our way to Young Living because we long for community, a place where we can find love and support and hope and like-minded beings. When have you felt a part of community? How did that feel? What brought and held you together? What images, feelings, activities, actions do you connect to this word, community? Of healing and discovery, these are two of my favorite words. The world does not need more salespeople, Gary Young said at the end of his life. We need more healers. I believe we can each only heal ourselves. While we can support and guide others on their path towards healing, ultimately, it's up to each of us to choose and allow for healing. I know I learn and heal most effectively when I feel safe and loved. A community of healing, to me, is a group of friends who hold space for each other as we stumble and fall and still advance forward in making kinder choices each day in how we honor and feed the body, mind, and spirit. The word discovery evokes such a different feeling in me than a classroom in school where there is an all-knowing teacher. It's a space of inquiry and problem solving. It's the active engagement of detective work, finding answers and solutions to create a greater whole. It's Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the Hogwarts library planning to save the world. And finally, while inspiring individuals to wellness, purpose, and abundance. How does one inspire others? In truth, I believe there's only one way: by being the change that we want to see in the world. I feel inspired in my business when I see others succeeding around me. I am inspired to eat well when others make healthy food choices near me. I'm inspired to create more in my lifetime when I see the grandeur of what Gary and Mary Young have already created. If we make better choices for ourselves out loud and on purpose, we inspire others. Wellness. What would need to shift in your life to feel well again? What does wellness even look like to you? How do you imagine it for your family and friends? Purpose. Purpose. To me, purpose feels like alignment. It feels like plugged into vocation. It feels like living for something bigger than me. Again, I ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected to your purpose do you feel today? And if 10 means feeling purposeful and energized and connected, remember that not that many years ago, when I started this journey, I was about a 2 at best. Now looking back, I can see how seeking to discover my purpose has been the primary motor that's kept me going. It's okay if you're not clear on your purpose today, but may seeking to discover and connect to it be an energizing and educational journey of discovery. What do you think the world would look like if more people were living connected to a sense of purpose? What do you think this world would look like if more of us woke up every day saying, you know what, I can contribute, I can make a difference. I have hope, I have joy in my heart. And abundance. Even though I was broke, what I needed more than money was my time back. I needed friends and energy and love. Where do you currently feel abundant? And where is there a sense of scarcity in your life? What channels of abundance would you like to open first? What can you imagine for the people you love? So I'm going to read that mission statement one more time, all together. We honor our stewardship to champion nature's living energy, essential oils, by fostering communities of healing and discovery, while inspiring individuals to wellness, purpose, and abundance. I ask you, does this feel like a mission that you want to be a part of? To me, Young Living isn't sales, it's heart-led activism. So I want to close with a call to action, because again, whether it's in a partnership with Young Living or in your own big life and way of living, it's a partnership. So I want to close with this call to action, which is that I believe, as a writer and storyteller, that we're all natural storytellers, and that our secret solutions reside in the stories that live buried within us. And so my call to action, my invitation to you all, my take-home exercise for those who are willing to embrace it, is I invite you to write your story. It can be short, it can be messy, you don't have to share it with anybody, but I'm going to give you 4-step prompts to guide you toward discovery. This was an exercise that was so serving to me in my process. So step 1, write down, where are you now? Just quite honestly, what's alive in your life right now? What is the reality of your life? Where are you? Are you in survival mode like I was for all those years? What kind of zombieing through your life like a robot? Where are you right now? Are you already passionately connected to your sense of purpose, but wanting to help others plug into that more? Or are you numb like I was? Write that down. Where are you now? Part 2 of this exercise. What don't you like about it? Right? I was always taught, choose positive mindset, focus on what's good, and that's really good advice in my opinion. But I think that in order to change, we have to start by owning and acknowledging where we are today. So straight up, what don't you like about this life that you're currently living? Part 3 of writing out your story. What solution or shift or change might you call in to activate change? What solution, shift, or change could you call in to activate change? Okay, for me, it started with just bringing in more wellness products, using more and more essential oils. But then that bigger layer of calling in community that we're having this conversation about. I haven't given up. I want to live a life with more purpose, and I know people who are doing it, and I'm going to follow their lead. All right, what shift would that be for you? Is it more exercise? Is it allowing yourself more friendships? Is it choosing to prioritize self-care again? What is it for you? What change might activate a shift in you? And then lastly, and this is where I invite for you to dare to dream. For just this experiment, forget the how. Forget the how. And ask yourself, how can I imagine my life to look once this shift has already come manifest? What can I imagine my life to look like? 10 years ago when I graduated from grad school, I dreamed that I would be able to figure out a way to cultivate a lifestyle where I could afford to be an artist, where I could make time to have enough money and also write. And it was through allowing myself, daring to dream bigger and clunking my way forward, that I am so joyful to celebrate that I'm writing again, that I can afford to be a writer, and I pray that my books, as they find their way into the world, may be of service to hundreds of thousands of people. And I could not have done that alone. I needed to partner with community. I needed to partner with an organization that already had a vision that they'd been active on for decades. I needed to step into the current of flow, to trust that connecting to purpose is possible, that me, just like you, could feel better in my life, and that I too am worthy of abundance, an abundance of love, an abundance of community, and an abundance of wealth, not just for ease and comfort and survival, but so that I can use means to contribute to the planet in ways that I long to, and not be stuck in just getting by. So anybody who takes me up on that little exercise, I would be so honored to read your stories. Please feel free to message me through Facebook and send me your stories. Thank you for watching. And if this inspired any hope or awakeness in you, please share this with folks that you love, with folks who, like me, might be walking around in a zombie version of the vibrant person that they truly are. Blessings on your day. Huge love. Thank you.